Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Omega Files. Tonight, we're going to sit here. It would help if I'd done this. We're going to sit here and have a little talk about a show that has, well, been very, very, bashed by critics, but has jumped onto the scene anyway, and that is Iron Fist, being streamed currently on Netflix. Okay, let's go ahead and get hey there, hi there, ho there from everybody really quick. Let's start with AJ.
Hiya, from down under.
Beefhead.
Hello, I'm Beef. You may know me. I'm the man of whiteboards and mathematical things. But if I can give you one piece of advice for what you're going to do in your life going on from this point in time, it's one thing. Either use goat's blood or piss on it. It seems to be the thing that works with shoes and everything else in your life.
Yeah, Kevin.
Hello, everyone.
And Philip.
Monkey Crane.
Yes. Iron Fist, the life story of Ellen DeGeneres as she struggles with... No, that's right. No, we're talking about the one with the martial artist. Yeah, this is a character I had only heard of through various Marvel animated properties. As we were just talking about Legends of Tomorrow, so I just threw my brains out. And the thing was, I was always used to seeing the guy with the green tights, the frickin' big ass yellow mask, and always hanging around with Luke Cage and whatnot. And then this one, here we got Joe Jones's grandson running around beating the shit out of people. Well, it's the same actor who played Santiago in Death of the Doctor, for all you Doctor Who fans, well, all five of you who are watching. But I rather enjoyed the series. I didn't see what the big problem was. I guess the show had been pre-released, at least the first 6 episodes, the critics, and then they just went to frickin' apeshit town all over it. They just it sucks ass. And I'm like, I don't see where that happened. Okay, all right, I'm going to open up the floor real quick. Let's start with AJ. You go on ahead.
Yeah, I don't get why people are saying it's a mixture of Doctor Strange and Green Arrow. Like, it's its own thing. He's a martial artist, yeah. He did train in Kung Lung for 15 years and became the Iron Fist. But it was new, it was original, and to me it felt a bit like Kung Fu, the series, a little, with him seeing his master every now and again when he was in that fight. I thought it was just brilliant. It was deceit, intrigue, and it wasn't convoluted like Arrow, where it keeps flashing back, and, within 5 years, he did a lot, apparently. He was in Russia, he was on the island, he was back in China, he was everywhere, except for hell, apparently. Anyway, I just think the show was better than what most people would think it is. Watch it. It is kick-ass, literally. Done. Cool.
Oh, right. Let's go to Philip. Your turn.
I'm not much of a martial arts kind of fan, but watching this was quite a pleasant thing to see. I like how it incorporated characters from other shows on this genre, like, say, Madame Gao from Daredevil, and the nurse who plays the love interest of Daredevil. So that's nice to see them in it as well. I like the gangster type part of it with all the drugs running and everything. And the villains of the piece, they stood out for me in this because they were very, very bad. So, I like the show, and I would recommend it to anybody else who hasn't seen it. Don't watch it. It's really good.
Okay, Kevin.
Well, I don't understand why critics has bashed on this so much. There's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, the story it builds up in the first 6 episodes. But yeah, if you're going to review the whole thing, don't watch the first 6 episodes. Then watch the whole freaking series. So yeah. And the episodes were good. There, Madame Gao was it, and Claire was also in it. She shows up in every series so far, and it's a good one. So I recommend you watching this.
Alrighty, all right, Beefhead, go on ahead.
I'm going to be the contrary group of the one of the bunch. I can understand where the criticism came from. Now, like I say, the press got the first 6 episodes, and to be honest with you, the first 6 episodes aren't massively something to write home about. It does redeem itself later in the season. In the same way, in Luke Cage, which was the most recent thing we had, you have this business of him losing the powers. You have a big thing about him trying to pull it back. The thing that it felt guilty of, I think, in the first 6 episodes was there was a lot of time devoted to, is it Danny Rand? Isn't it Danny Rand? We as the audience know that this is Danny Rand. If you try and put yourself in the characters involved, yeah, you can understand the mechanisms behind them trying to say, is this the guy, is this not the guy? But there's a lot of time spent to that, a lot of time spent in boardrooms necessarily discussing things about Danny Rand when Danny Rand's not there, and you're there to watch this guy, and that is the purpose of the show. He's the driving character behind it. So I can understand it. It does pull itself back in the last 6, but it is, yeah, look, this, I would say, you do. There are faults in this. I will say this is probably not necessarily my favourite of the bunch that we've had so far. You get till the end of episode 2 before you actually see the titular Iron Fist, and the amount that you get in it is really sort of, it's meted out very, very sparingly, and motivations and reasons for him leaving Kalun, a Tibetan, town that appears only every 15 years. You don't get much in the way of backstory, reasoning behind it. You can't necessarily understand people's motivations behind it. So I can understand where the criticism has come from, but it does put itself back in that last 6 to a certain amount. So yeah, I mean, we'll get into it, but that's my initial followings. It is good. It's not the best, but I still enjoyed it.
Okay. All right, Alex, you've seen Iron Fist.
Yeah, I have. It's 13 episodes. I like the first 8. I can understand where it is very slow. And as Beef just mentioned, even I was kind of going, where is the investment? You know what I mean? It seems like another Kung Fu inspired things like the Karate Kid or Kung Fu or other TV oriented or movie specials. There seems to be more of a investment. There seems to be more of a motivation. So when they start using Kung Fu or they meet the villain or whatever, you have more excitement. And it's not that there isn't good villains in Iron Fist. In all 13 episodes, there's a good villain. But I think, I don't know. I think personally, I think they could have taken out at least 4 episodes and it would have made it tighter. And I also didn't quite understand, like Beef just said, the Shangri-La type of place, the motivation for him coming back, even though the villainous family, I just forgot their name of the family.
Meacham.
Yeah, was good. It felt a little bit like 90210 to me, a little bit, and one of the actresses was on that show. So I don't know what they were trying to do. I'm not quite sure. As much, even though I liked it, it wasn't as good as Luke Cage or even Daredevil, where the villain was more interesting, in my opinion. I mean, I liked it, but I didn't. There was a lot of episodes like I would have liked a friend to say, "Oh, this is what happened," so he could have saved time, at least 4 episodes, if not 5, to not watch it. So, I mean, I like it, but it just seems, I don't know. I don't know if it was too many cooks in the pot or whatever, but I would have felt better if it was more of an investment, if you had known who Danny was. Then you have the Asian woman saying about, oh, you know, are you a kid or a man or whatever? And it's kind of like, okay, you're bringing this up too much. I could understand taunting a couple of times, but when she kept bringing it up, it's like, oh. It started to annoy me. So yeah, I mean, I like it, but I think other creations have done it better. I think that the Karate Kid and Kung Fu come to mind. I kept getting reminded of Kung Fu for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it does kind of remind me of the old series Kung Fu, with David Carradine, as Kwai Chang Caine, a guy who comes to America trying to escape his past and all that. It does bear some resemblances. It also kind of reminds me of The Master with Lee Van Cleef, from back in the 80s. The ninja assassin who's escaping his clan, and and his own student is coming to kill him because he betrayed the code by leaving the clan. Kind of deal. But there's one pressing question on my mind that's really driving me nuts. Was it just me, or did Gao seem like the Kung Fu Chinese equivalent of Nanny McPhee?
Ironically, yes.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
She had the stick.
She taps that stick and things happen.
Exactly. I just noticed the resemblance, the stick, the stance, every damn thing. Oh, man. Plus, she's even got a sword in there to frickin' gut people's throats with.
Okay, well,
put a bag over your head and you go to bed with no dinner.
Well, unless I'm revealing too much, the challenge where he had to fight 3 or 4 people or 3 or 4 gates.
That got me as well. That got me because I couldn't understand why he had to go for that challenge. Did he leave that mystical place untrained?
Well, actually, I like that part. Actually, I thought they were finally getting to something, but I actually thought they sort of cheated. I think they should have done one more and gotten rid of Gao. Actually, but I still liked it in the Netflix series. Actually,
yeah, because at first you think the main villain's either going to be like what's his name? Was it Harold or Howard Meacham?
Well, if anything, you at the start of it, you think it's going to be Ward Meacham, the brother who's, to be honest with you, is a bit of a dick for the most part. Yeah, he's like there's an inbuilt jealousy that goes back to childhood. He wants to really just chuck him to the curb, anything to just as long as I'm all right and everything like that. Then you find out he's a bit of a puppet. But I will say, watching the whole series, the turnabout of his character, the redemption of him is one of the best aspects for me. Because for someone, when Danny says, you're the guy who locked me in the freezer, kicked me in the nut so hard and everything like that, and you get him at the end of the day, he turns on his father, who is an absolute sociopath, narcissist. We all know people like that, and by the end of it, his character redemption is fantastic because he's the guy who looks out for Danny and says, they're coming for you. He bails him out. He's there trying to help him in a plan to save his skin and everything like that. There's no ulterior motive to him by the end of it. There's a really good taciturn thing with him and his sister as the season goes on. It's very, very well.
The sister part that left me a little confused, but I have to admit, he was actually a very good actor, and it's kind of funny because at the end, I was actually rooting for him. I was rooting for Ward, and I said, okay, so I'll give the series credit if it's trying to twist your allegiance or your loyalties, and if that's the point of 6 of the episodes, then go ahead, Philip.
I would have liked Ward to be a bit more longer in his dark kind of way than to be redeemed that quickly. I would have liked him to be a bit more stretched out as being dark. So
remember too that he should have gotten arrested at least 3 times in the 13 episodes.
I think this is the thing where it did fall down for me with regards to as a villain is concerned, with and drawing comparisons to what you've had before. If you said Daredevil, Wilson Fisk is there throughout. He's a constant stream. With Luke, with Jessica Jones, you had Kilgrave. He was there throughout. You had people who were obstacles in the way, people like Duke and everything like that. But certainly Luke Cage was a game changer in the sense that you thought it was, Cottonmouth, and then he dies, and it to a certain degree, then it's his sister and Diamondback towards the end of it. You had this, it was, Papa Meacham up until a certain point, and then it sort of like switches, it's Gao, then it's like the guy who's taking over from the Hand, then it goes back to Meacham. It's a case of that. And this was the problem that I found yeah, as much as I enjoyed it, the one thing I did find with this was there really never was a proper threat to him as a hero character. There was the bit where he lost the power of the Iron Fist, but it was only a very short stay thing. Only because my cheese lost its mojo. Do you know what I mean? But I need to get this shit back, and then it's all hunky dory again. And this is the Iron Fist that can beat everything. So do you know what I mean? I can't open this tin of pickles. Boom, Iron Fist. I'm having trouble opening the car door. Boom, Iron Fist. Do you know what I mean? Iron Fist is the solution for everything. And it was a case of there wasn't very much Iron Fist, and there never was any threat from the villains. The one thing I would say is, drawing back to Luke Cage, which by my reckoning really was the strongest, was you had the bit where he completely lost his powers. He was completely vulnerable to everyone and everything. And there was a real potential threat for the character. I never thought watching any of this was the case of Danny Rand's going to die. This is it. It's not going to figure out everything like that. And that was a little bit where it fell apart because there was too many moving pieces. They tried to overcomplicate the story.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a revolving door on the villain store there for a while. It's like, then it was Gal, then it was Baguto, then it was, but was interesting. Yeah, the sister, the fact she starts out as being the one person who's sympathetic towards him, and then by the end she's gone to the freaking dark side. It's like, that's just freaky right there.
With the whole thing of, sorry.
Oh, go on ahead.
I was going to say, with the whole thing of no threat to Iron Fist himself, I was thinking he plays a more pivotal role maybe towards season 2. They need him for something because the Hand obviously has a deeper plan, because the Hand has been woven out through the entire Netflix series of like Daredevil, Luke Cage, and so on and so forth. They're obviously working up to an ultimate goal, and maybe he plays a pivotal part in that. Maybe creating like a super army of Iron Fists or something to try and take over the world.
Oh yeah, I think there was someone else who was behind him that you never got to go. I'm going to take you to go and see my boss. This is what we want to do with the Iron Fist, and we didn't get that. There certainly wasn't that. So maybe that's something they're building to.
And Gal mentioned something about having a master, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So there's somebody running things from behind the scenes we haven't even seen yet.
Oh yeah, there was lovely touches towards the end as well. Unless you've got a friend who's bulletproof, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you know who I'm talking about. Going to this building is just a bad idea.
There was a lot of winks and nudges in this series, though, from previous series and a couple of movies that some of the actors were involved in, like where Danny says that he's eaten donkey once, and you see Rosario Dawson was choke on her food because of Clerks 2. Had the donkey show in that.
Also, you had mention of I forgot the sister's name again. Joy. When Joy mentions how she got the dirt on the other executives, that she had hired a certain private detective who was really good when she was sober.
Jessica Jones.
We kind of know who that is.
But when you're comparing this series to the other two, with Luke Cage and Daredevil, this is in a class of its own. You've got Luke Cage, which is the street, the ghetto. That's like the lowest point you can be. Then you've got Daredevil and Jessica Jones, which are mid-level. Like, people just making ends meet. Then you've got Danny Rand, who's at the very top, who is, he's a billionaire. He's got anything and everything he wants. So the stories.
I get that too, but
yeah.
Maybe it's just me. This is. Look, don't get me wrong. And this is me just putting out points just for conjecture and everything like that. Is where I struggled with this. Is that, and I did enjoy it. Like I say, the back six definitely pulled it back. But the idea of this was like Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones. That they were there, basically street level heroes. And it had impact on people and their day-to-day lives and things like that. This tended to be a lot of daddy issues. Maybe that's there was an aspect of daddy issues to this, but basically it was, well, I'm Danny Rand and I'm fighting big business, and there was no sort of like, I'm helping out Joe Schmo on the street. There's none of that.
Right.
Basically, everything he does is helping Danny Rand, and that's it. Well, they're off in the distance, so I've abandoned my post. But there wasn't really anything that just helped like Joe Schmo on the street. It was a case of just like making sure Danny Rand was sorted out, and then that was it.
Yeah, very much a bottle universe kind of play out. Nothing else.
I'm only fighting big business and someone who's got daddy issues, but aside from that, it's that's it. There wasn't any connection to the common man, and that's what they need. I think that's what this missed.
Well, that's something they can always do in Luke Cage and Danny Rand Heroes for Hire, because that could possibly.
Well, I'm hoping that would be a clash point, which would be a good thing story-wise. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, does this mean that it will further his skills? Because in the show you see a clip of video of a Iron Fist with 2 Iron Fists, whereas he's only able to do 1. So are they going to further his training on like up 2 fists rather than 1?
I'm hoping.
Well, sorry.
No, go on, mate.
I was going to say, well, Kunlun is gone now, so there's no one really to teach him at the moment. It's ephemera. It's gone.
That's it. You get the idea that there's certain aspects that he's not been. There's an aspect of manipulation that goes through this to a certain degree. Danny, as the Iron Fist, is manipulated because he's only been trained to see things black and white. I'm a weapon. I'm going to crush the hand wherever I see it. And there are more aspects, more potential to his power, more things that he can do with it. But he's not aware of it because he's only had a blinkered view living in this like secluded monastery that only appears like Brigadoon every 15 years. And then he finds out that there is a bigger world. There's a bigger playing field at stake. It's not black and white. There's shades of grey in between. And I'm hoping that, that's it. I don't know. You have a weird fish out of water mix with this that runs through it. Yeah, there are parallels you can draw with Kung Fu. I think the origin of when the comic book first appeared, it was the same time that you had that same thing to it. But I wish there was more background and more understanding behind his powers, because if there had been that, then it would feel more rounded too.
Another thing I want to know is who the hell made that damn little like Walkman thing that he had, in the first place, because that thing survived a frickin' plane crash, 15 years out in the middle of frickin' nowhere in Tibet. It's like, come on, that's gonna be one kick-ass product, But
it was an iPod.
It's got a hell of a battery life, because I'm sure them monks, 15 years that you're outside of the realms of reality, and they've got a full AC fucking electric power supply. That's superb. You must imagine the bill when they come back after 15 years, because Danny's been charging his iPod constantly when he's asleep. It's
No, I picture a bunch of monks riding around, and they've got this like handmade generator and a little bicycle thing. Poor little guy's got to ride for like 2 or 3 days to charge frickin' Danny's goddamn iPod. But there is one good piece of news. Iron Fist was the second biggest Marvel Netflix premiere, it turns out. The only one that beat it was Luke Cage. So that is good news, because that could possibly mean, all right, maybe we will get another series out of this. Well, especially with the Defenders looming, coming up very soon in the fall. So that's going to be interesting to see how this group of characters mesh together. And now that we've seen them all in their own separate little things, how are they going to fit together come this fall? That's what I'm looking forward to seeing, is how they beat it out. Oh, and hell, has anyone even heard of who the villain is for the Defenders?
This is what's questioning me, because if you need those 4 or 3 or 4 to fight off one super villain, who's that going to be?
Well, I would say what you touched on earlier, Phil, to be honest with you, all of them to a certain degree have been touched by the hand. Maybe it is. That is that they're alluding to something that bit bigger from that year. I think all of them have had that involvement in some way, shape, or form. So maybe that'll be quite a good thing to see in the future. I mean, the one thing that maybe we haven't also talked about is Colleen Wing was a really good character. The supporting cast in this were fantastic. The girl who played Colleen Wing was great. I've got to give props to Sacha Dhawan. He was great as like the disgruntled best friend who, you know, came close but didn't get it, and he just bore. You did get that utter sense of resentment. You didn't know whether he was on the good side or the bad side when you first meet him, and he's there making shurikens of tinfoil and flinging them at the guy who runs the local food truck. He was really good, and you get a little twist of his character at the end, which is fantastic. The Meacham, brother and sister duo are really good, and the guy, the dad is superb. Obviously he's given up Catholicism, because those of you who ever watched Van Helsing, he was Hugh Jackman's little buddy monk out of Van Helsing. Now, obviously Buddhism wins out over Catholicism in the argument of which is the best religion to have, because he came back from the dead. But the supporting cast in this is really good. A lot of people have been also critical of Finn Jones because he's a white guy teaching the Chinese Oriental races how to do it and giving it back to them, and it's sort of like the white guy comes in, takes something that's inherent to your race, takes it away, does it better, and sort of like tries to sell it on. I don't give a crap about the colourblind, whitewash casting, whatever, to be honest with you. The story is what the story is. Finn Jones is okay. I'm hoping that I did warm to him, but there was nothing to say, well, this could be any other guy acting him, but he did a good job in what he did. But I love the supporting cast in this. Carrie-Anne Moss was really a great callback to Jessica Jones. Her coming back as the lawyer that everyone hates, and you got a redeeming feature to it. You actually got a little bit of her soft, sentimental side, because it was the Rand family that gave her first foot in the door. Because if you remember her from Jessica Jones, she was a bitch. Cast iron bitch. She was the iron bitch from that season.
Yeah.
Jerry Hogarth, yeah.
J Money.
Oh, yeah. Quick word, yeah. Jessica Henwick playing Colleen Wing. David Wenham is playing Harold Meacham. The best way you can describe Harold is he's been to the pet cemetery once too often.
Twice at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of I like the way they explain that. Yeah, you get to come back to life, but the problem is every time you do, you lose a little bit of your soul. And then you see, I love it when he's being told the story about who told him the story about he had heard once.
It was the head of the triads telling Ward Meacham about
about how the one guy had come back, and eventually one time he had killed both his children, stuck them on a spit, and them burning in the backyard. About to munch on them, for crying out loud. It's like,
yeah.
He had just gone that absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So you do have immortality, but it comes with a price.
You're like a videotape. You degrade the more copies you make.
Hello. The fight scenes were nicely realised. I like them. They were kind of smooth, and they weren't very it didn't come across like as in fake fight scene.
They got better.
Yeah. The contacts were very good, and it was like very well choreographed. Is that the word, choreographed? That's that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the drunken boxing section. That guy who was drunk.
The drunken master.
That was brilliant. It was perfect. Reminded me of Jackie Chan.
That's the thing. This is the thing. There's been so much criticism online of this, and it's sort of like, I can understand where it came from. And the thing is, the press thing, they only got the first 6. Stick with it, because it does pay off in the end. yeah, the fight choreography at the start is very jumpy, everything like that. It looks like you can see where it's cutting in. They're using stunt guys. As it goes on, it does get better. It gets more involved. The bit where Joy is being taken, you've got the hatchet men in the hallway. That's really well done. If anything, the one thing that I will say with these Marvel series is that combat of any variety is done best and cinematically when it's done in close quarters. You had the scene with, in Luke Cage where he gets the car door and he's going in there and he's just like taking everything out like that. You have the same thing with the season 1 of Daredevil. You have the season 2, which is the prison hallway. You have aspects of everything of those repeat in this. The tough thing that Iron Fist had was this is the 4th. Yeah, okay, they probably did hit a bump in the road, but it's nothing catastrophic that they can't set right. But the expectations were always going to be high after Luke Cage, which broke Netflix.
Yeah, it did. And it's still the #1 Marvel premiere. Okay, joining us very late, Susan. What's your thoughts on this show?
I guess my favorite thing about the Iron Fist was the interaction between the brother and sister and how they were in charge of the whole company, and yet they were like how they related to each other. They were supportive and yet devious at points, and it was exciting to watch Danny come back, and the end of it where he moves into that sphere of where the Kunlun we used to be is just incredible. It's really amazing. So I'm a big fan now.
I didn't think I was going to like that this much. I'm like, oh, great, here we go. It's another, kung fu martial arts superhero, yippee skippy. But then it actually, by the time you got a few episodes in, it actually grabbed my attention. It had me fully, pulled into the story. And it had me going, okay, where the hell is this going to go next? Especially when you had Joy Meacham, right? At the beginning, they're painting her as she's the soft, sentimental one. But then you have that deal where I think it was in order to get the pier, where she told that guy, look, I'll get these organs off this dead person or dying person, for your niece or something like that, if you sign the papers. That right there, I was like, what a cold-hearted bitch. She's just as bad as her brother, if not worse. So a lot of hidden character traits here and there. You don't know which way it's going until you get towards the end, and even then they've now left you with a cliffhanger. Yeah. So it's kind of got you going, okay, what the hell are they going to do in the second series? Okay, anything else? Any other thoughts?
Really, really well produced in terms of the ambiance and how they used great sets. I mean, those offices in New York were gorgeous, or wherever they shot it. It was absolutely beautiful. Set pieces and stuff. So I really loved his apartment was very Art Deco and beautiful and metal and paneling, and then their offices were steel. It was just really beautiful to watch. I mean, in terms of cityscapes, that was freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, I believe this was also shot in New York, same as Daredevil. So,
yeah.
One thing I will touch on very quickly is that I think you have to give props to Rosario Dawson as Claire, to be honest with you, because she has been the sort of cohesive glue that has bound all the different stories of the Defenders together. And this is probably a really good sort of, up until you have this point, the best version of this, because we've seen her from the start, going from being a nurse to being sort of helping outside of her job, then the potential love interest. This one, she really gets to kick some ass and take out her frustration, her rage, and everything like that. She is such a fantastically fully formed character by this point. She is much merits her own season of shows as of any of the characters that has gone before, because she is such a fantastic character within this. And
I think that she's going to be,
as an actress, she's brilliant. As in the way she's written and it's all done on in the story is superb.
I think that she's going to be like the sidekick to all the defenders, right? Because she's got all their backs, right?
Yeah.
And now Kitty literally has claws.
Well,
I saw that. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I had to step away. There was what's her name? Jessica. What was it? Jessica
Jones.
The woman that runs the dojo.
Oh,
that's Colleen Wing.
Colleen Wing. Jessica Henwick is her real name.
Yeah.
I really liked her as well. Of course, we just mentioned Rosario Dawson's character, and I always knew that she was going to be a good actress. She just wasn't in the right vehicle. She wasn't in the right material. So it's kind of funny how she psychoanalyzes both Danny and Colleen at the end. But I mean, I like Colleen Wing's character. Danny Rand, I liked him, but it just didn't feel that natural to me. And of course, in my, when I've been on the net, I've wondered about the Asian possible stereotypes or possible symbolism and things like that. Of course, it's a TV show, so they can't go too far into it. But I mean, it wasn't a waste of time, but I felt they could have cut it down by at least 4 episodes. And the evil family was good, as you guys said, the Meachums and was it Madame Gao? That felt a little overdone to me. But I mean, I'm glad I watched it. But I'm still with Luke Gage at this point. The other shows are all right, but as long as they do good with the second season with Iron Fist and Luke Gage, I really like that.
Yeah. Plus, we also got to wonder just how old Madame Gao is.
Yeah.
You guys remember that one little thing? I spent the entire 17th century being tortured.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would assume that it's probably not the same body. Maybe I'm wrong, but
no, because she, when she was speaking to Danny, that she was referring to one of the places in Kowloon. So at one time, she was a resident there in the city, which is in essence an immortal city. To be honest with you, so you just don't know. Danny's been there for 15 years, and he knew the parents and everything like that. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask this, guys. Like I said, I'm sorry I came late. I had to step away. What was the sidekick's name? Remember the sidekick's name that he was jealous that he wasn't the Iron Fist and all that?
That's Davos.
Davos, yeah. Which that's kind of funny because I said, that sounds like Davros. Oh well, never mind. I mean, he seemed like an interesting character too. I don't know if they're going to bring him back.
I did like his fight scene with the girl in the rain in that quadrangle area. That was
and remember the guy got stabbed, the new person that was taking over with the goatee and all that, and he got injured, and then his body was taken away, and they're not sure if he's gone or not.
Bakuto, you saw him again. Yeah, he was in the end scene.
He was in the end scene? Okay.
That was him. That was him talking to Joy. It says he just shaved his hair off.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, they were all in the cafe, and then Gao was at the next table listening in. Right.
Yeah.
So Bakudo was there at the last scene.
Yep, that was him.
Oh.
That's the other thing, too. So sorry, Brian. So it reminded me a little bit of Kung Fu and the Incredible Hulk in a way. And I just couldn't shake that feeling. It just seemed to kind of remind me of that a little bit.
But like it or love it, hate it or whatever, like I said, second biggest Netflix premiere.
No, I like it, but I think they could have cut it down a little bit. I think they should have shifted the
They're
emphasis.
not going to cut it down a little bit. You see, that don't make any sense. Why would you put out 3 13-episode series and put out an 8 one? It just wouldn't fit.
Yeah, well, but like I said, unless they're going to save this all for the second series and you find out what Kolong is and the origins of Danny Rand and all that.
It's the Tibetan Brigadoon. Okay, go ahead, AJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, whatever happened to Kyle's body, it was just put into that terrarium, and we never saw it again after that. Remember that guy Harold lost his shit on and killed with the ice cream scoop? Whatever happened to his body?
Probably dumped him out there with the other ones.
Slow baked.
And the one thing I absolutely loved about Danny was he couldn't control his anger. He couldn't control his emotions. When he had flashbacks of what happened to him in the past and what may happen to him in the future and so on, he was just losing his mind and trying his best not to just explode with rage and Iron Fist power. I thought that was really, really cool.
Okay, so great series. As far as I'm concerned, sure it's not gonna ever beat Luke Cage. I don't think. I have to say Luke Cage so far is still the number one for me. But it didn't do too badly. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because it's gonna suck. Well, that's all I heard all over the place. But then I sat down, watched it. It pulled me in. I enjoyed it, and I say I'm looking forward to series 2. Okay, let's go ahead and we're gonna rate this sucker and put it to bed. Okay, if we can get Philip off the toilet. Okay, let's start with AJ. Out of 10, how do you rate this baby?
8.5 out of 10. Just because it reminds us of a few things here and there, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's good. It's given us bits and pieces of stuff that we love. So, yeah. Okay,
Alex, how do you rate it?
I like the supporting cast better than the actor, the main actor. That's the reason pretty much why I stayed with it. Like I said, it does remind me of a few things. That's not bad, like AJ said, but I think they could have done so. I just have a feeling it was lacking in the first series. But because of the supporting cast, I'd give it an 8.
All right. Beefhead.
I'm going to go with a 7.5 on this one. It's always going to be a tough sell because this is the 4th out of the Defenders bunch, and there's always going to be comparisons drawn on other ones that have gone before, things that we may have seen before. There's an overwhelming aspect to this, which is the idea of certainly this series, which is families and betrayal. There's a lot of issues with families, how families relate, be it sort of literally between the parents and children of the Meachams, between Colleen and the Hand, between the adoptive family of Danny and the Callan monks and everything like that. But what this missed for me was there was a lot of, like Alex said, okay, you can't change the episode number. I think perhaps it could be done in different, taken in different ways. There was a lot of time spent in boardrooms. There was a lot of debate over, is this Danny, is this not Danny, that went on a bit too long. There wasn't really enough of the Iron Fist. You didn't see that enough. And by the same aspect that you've had with other seasons, that there's a point where your hero gets beaten down, beaten to the ground, or in the case of Luke Cage, lost his powers, and there has to be a reclamation of that. There needs to be a sort of regaining of the power, and really being in peril, in danger, and I didn't necessarily get that with this, which is why it hasn't scored so highly. In the same respect as well, I would have liked a more fleshed out bit with him back at Callum. There was some flashbacks, but it was only very sort of spattering, and I would have liked to have seen more of that. It was greatly, it was well acted. The supporting The supporting cast, I think, was better than your primary cast. But it wasn't bad. It was acceptable, I think. Yeah. So I will give it a 7.5. I'm hoping that they're just going to react from this bump and say, okay, maybe we got a little bit too cozy, and we're going to really ramp it up in either season 2 or the Defenders. We've got something, and it's really going to crack on. Yeah, so I would say 7.5. By no means the best, because Luke Cage, by the end of episode 2, episode 3, you watched it and you were cheering at the screen. Without wanting to be crude, there was a case of "fuck yeah!" And like, there wasn't a bit with Iron Fist where I just looked at it and went, "Yes." There wasn't that. There wasn't that. Yeah, there wasn't this like I've got a bit of a boner on this one. There wasn't a boner moment to Iron Fist necessarily for me. So yeah, I'll give it a 7.5.
Okay, Kevin.
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Love the supporting cast. It really helped. And I can't wait for the second series.
All right, Philip.
This has got room for improvement. As everybody said, there are bits and that could be done better. And I'm hoping when they jump into the it'll be the Defenders thing first, and then obviously he'll get his own little season afterwards, his next second season afterwards. So I'm hoping that what they learned from this, they can build on in Defenders, then carry it on through to his own second season. So I had high hopes for it. So yeah, I'm going to give this. I'm going to give it. What can I give it? I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
All right, Susan.
Yeah, I would completely agree with Philip, and I'd rate it an 8 out of 10 for the 13 episode run, and I look forward to Defenders too a lot.
Okay, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 as also. There was definitely room for improvement, but like I said, the good thing was though it wasn't as bad as they were making it out to be. It turned out to be a lot. It actually grabbed my attention, kept me in the story. But yeah, there was a lot of things moving around, and I could kind of agree. Maybe we should have had more Iron Fist in it. You're right. They could have had a bit more of that involved, or the fact that he didn't lose his powers. Not really. It's kind of like I've lost my power. I can't focus my chi. Oh, it's back. So yeah, that didn't last long enough. That's something they could have developed, a little bit more. A section where he can't even summon it at all, and then boom, 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 it comes out wailing like a screaming demon of hell. So yeah, definitely going to give it an 8 out of 10. Now, okay, I don't know. I don't really have anything planned, between here and the restart of the Doctor Who series. So if something comes up, then maybe we'll go ahead and discuss it, because I kind of got something planned for next week, and then the weekend of the 8th, we're going to be out at the Time Lord Expo. So it's going to be a one-day introductory event, kind of like saying, okay, come check out the venue. Here's the vendors, whatnot, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to be out at that on the 8th, and I don't have, and on the 1st, I've got something I'm doing. So if that all goes well. So until then, until we see you, maybe not until the Doctor Who premiere, take care. Have a great, weekend. What's left of it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I can't do that.
Iron Fist. Okay.
Oh.